Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, February the 12th. Well, one system is now moving away from the mid-Atlantic region, and another system is moving towards the northeastern part of the nation. It will take more of a northwestern track compared to its predecessor, ending up over the eastern Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and that will allow some warming eventually into the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., so mainly a rain event tonight into tomorrow morning. However, during the next several hours here, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City can certainly experience some snow shower activity and also some snizzle. What I like to use, I've coined that word to represent snow drizzle. I think we can have some snow drizzle or some snow shower activity in the D.C., New York City corridor over the next several hours. Then kind of a mixed bag of precipitation late today, early tonight, that ultimately changes over to rain later on tonight into the morning hours on Thursday. Now, certainly in the overnight hours, there can be some freezing on some untreated surfaces in those normally colder northern and western suburbs of the big cities. But by tomorrow, it'll generally be above freezing and certainly well above freezing by tomorrow afternoon, with a strong wind developing, gusting at least to 30 miles per hour or so. Beyond that, the overall active weather pattern certainly continues. We have a kind of a double barrel system coming into the eastern states during the upcoming weekend, and it could be a burst of snow, even accumulating snow on a Saturday morning. Let's say from Philly north and east, certainly into New York City, as well as the Philadelphia metro area. Maybe even some snow down to D.C. at the onset of this double barrel weekend system. If not snow, then ice, sleet is a possibility early Saturday in D.C. Ultimately, that changes to rain for Saturday night and much of the day on Sunday. A strong cold front comes through during the day on Sunday, and that will usher in a very cold air mass for the first half of next week. And then attention will turn to the south central states, where a storm system will gather strength and it will head towards the eastern seaboard by the latter part of next week, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Too early to say how far up the coast that system will come, but we'll kind of talk about some of the main players involved, not only for the next few days, but for that potential system the middle of next week. Let's start off here with the 0Z run of the GFS. We're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies, and certainly lots of blocking going on right now, way up over Greenland, the Arctic region, really, a significant blocking pattern right there, and a large upper level trough kind of centered over the central part of Canada, but extends all the way down into the southwestern part of the U.S. And we still have that semblance of a southeastern U.S. ridge here, again, kind of a common feature during La Nina winters. So let's move forward in time and watch how this pattern evolves. A couple things we'll focus in on. Indeed, that southeast U.S. ridge here that right now is kind of centered over the western Atlantic. And just look at that tremendous blocking, or higher heights than normal, higher pressures than normal over Greenland as we begin this loop here. Then we'll go forward into the weekend right here. We're into Saturday, still have some ridging over the eastern part of the nation, and we'll continue to move farther out into time. Now, this is the time frame Sunday, early Sunday, where we'll have a very strong cold front coming through the eastern states, and that will usher in quite cold air, well below normal air for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Very, very cold, for example, over the Great Lakes during the first half of next week. Let's keep on moving forward here. And notice that we continue to have a lot of blocking to the north over northern Canada and Greenland. And then we get into the Tuesday and Wednesday time frame. And this is when it gets quite interesting, the overall pattern here. By the middle of next week, Wednesday, Thursday time frame, that blocking is a little bit farther to the south across central and northern Canada. Notice we have this deep upper level trough setting up here over the central states. And also notice that southeast U.S. ridge kind of waning in importance here by the middle part of next week. It's weakened, it's kind of shunted to the east, and this is the time frame we'll really have to watch for the potential of a storm system right in this area right here. Again, Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week. You have blocking up to the north, you have kind of a negatively tilted upper level trough, and you have that southeastern U.S. ridge shunted far to the east right now. So this certainly has some potential, and this time frame is Wednesday or Thursday of next week. By potential, I mean potential for a system right along the eastern seaboard. And any system along the eastern seaboard Wednesday or Thursday of next week will likely have very cold air to work with out ahead of it. Let's take a look here at the 850 millibar temperature anomaly forecast maps, again using the conventional version of the GFS from 0Z last night. Still some warmer than normal conditions where indeed that upper level ridge is sitting over the southeastern part of the nation, but some very cold air relative to normal. We're talking some 20, 25 degree air below normal here over places like Montana, the Dakotas. That is very, very cold for this time of the year, and we'll move forward here. That kind of dives to the south into the northern part of Texas. Warmer than normal conditions still hang on along the southeastern part of the nation and much of the east coast here into the end of the work week. And here we go on Friday. The colder than normal air kind of confined to the northeast U.S. and then up across Canada by the early part of the day on Friday. And we'll have another shot of warmer than normal air pushing north and east. Again, we've mentioned this periodically that southeast U.S. ridge kind of pops up, then fades away, and then pops up. And every time it pops up, some warmer than normal air can push northeastward into the Mid-Atlantic region, especially into the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll have some very mild conditions during the day on Sunday ahead of that strong cold front. Could go up well up into the 50s in places like D.C. and 50 plus degrees possible in Philadelphia on Sunday ahead of that strong cold front. But boy, temperatures will drop like a rock behind it late Sunday, Sunday night time frame going into the day on Monday. And here we go into Sunday, and you can kind of see right here, this is where that separation is, where that strong cold front is on Sunday morning, with warmer than normal conditions up along the Atlantic seaboard and very, very cold conditions to the north and west. Well, once that front goes by, that cold air outbreak kind of floods the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast part of the nation, and certainly Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week will be very, very cold for much of the eastern half of the nation. The central and eastern states will go out a little farther in time. This is all the way into a week from right now, next Wednesday. Still very cold, hanging on down across all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley, and colder than normal conditions throughout the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. And this is the time frame we'll have to start watching for that potential storm system that could end up right near the East Coast, let's say late Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week. We're still talking about a week away, so it's in the speculation phase, but I think it's certainly a feasible scenario for later next week. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps. We have this low pressure area that took the southern route over the last 24 hours. It moved off the Virginia coastline and now is out over the open waters of the western Atlantic. And given the fact that it took more of a southern path compared to prior storms, that allowed for cold air to penetrate farther to the south. And places like Washington, D.C. got a good amount of snow. It was primarily, if not completely, a snow event in the D.C. metro area. And by the way, the snow forecast that we had turned out quite well in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. We had 4 to 7 inches in D.C., and unofficially, looks like so far the report is 6.3 inches at Reagan National Airport, 4.9 at Dulles, so right in our range. Philadelphia, we had roughly 2 to 5 inches in the Philadelphia area, and Philly International Airport ended up with 3.1 inches. We had anywhere from maybe 3 or 4 inches Westchester, King of Prussia, Valley Forge, and expected about 1 to 3 inches up across New York City in the last report. Central Park had about 1.5 inches reported as of early Wednesday morning. Now, the next several hours, we'll see some scattered snow showers out across the Mid-Atlantic region. Nothing too significant. In fact, could be some snizzle, what I like to call the snow drizzle over the next several hours. Very light snow, kind of a drizzle that is cold enough for snow. So snizzle is a good word to use here over the next several hours. Now, we talked about that southeast ridge. By the time we get to late in the day, early tonight, and this is the evening forecast map, some warmer air will start to push northward along the mid-Atlantic coastline, and ultimately we'll be dealing with just rain later on this evening into the overnight hours from D.C. to Philadelphia, and probably into New York City as well later on tonight. Plain rain. Now, certainly there can be some freezing on untreated surfaces, especially well to the north and west of D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City for at least for a while in the overnight hours. Temperatures will be rather close to the freezing mark, so watch out for those potential slippery spots, again, on untreated surfaces. By tomorrow morning, warmer air pushes even farther to the north, plain rain tomorrow morning, and then that moves on out by midday on Thursday, and it becomes quite windy tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. Expect at least 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts on Thursday afternoon, maybe 35, 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and quite mild. 50 degrees a possibility in places like D.C., so there'll certainly be some snow melt. Again, they had at least 6 or 7 inches in some parts of the D.C. metro region late yesterday and last night. Then we move forward. The end of the week looks pretty good. Friday, a cold, dry day, a good day for a parade in Philadelphia for the Eagles, Super Bowl victory. It's still stormy out in the western states, a lot of snow over those Sierra Nevada mountains out in eastern California. And it's been very cold across the Rockies, and some accumulating snow over the next few days out over the Rocky Mountain states. Then we get into the upcoming weekend, and we have a very interesting kind of a double barrel system headed to the Ohio Valley and then the eastern states for the upcoming weekend. This initial precipitation event can produce a burst of snow in places like New York City, Philadelphia, maybe snow and ice down across D.C. We're talking early to midday on Saturday, even some accumulations at this front end of the Saturday system here, especially up across those higher elevations of interior New Jersey, east central, northeastern Pennsylvania. Even New York City and Philadelphia could have some accumulating snow on Saturday morning. And then the warmer air, flies up along the Atlantic seaboard, and we have primarily a rain event, it looks like Saturday night going into the day on Sunday in the I-95 corridor region. If you go upstate, certainly there will be some icing problems for a while Saturday night going into Sunday morning, and then really warms up by the time we get to Sunday in that I-95 corridor region as a strong cold front approaches. And it becomes quite windy. The winds will become quite a noticeable factor on Sunday as well. This kind of a scenario with the surface low, this kind of second part of the double-barreled system cutting up to the north and west will certainly promote some warming up along the eastern seaboard all the way up into eastern New England. It would be quite a snowstorm for the Great Lakes region and maybe the far northwestern part of New York State as well. That front then slides to the east, cuts across the Mid-Atlantic region, midday, afternoon hours. There can be a changeover to snow in those higher elevation areas of the Mid-Atlantic and the northeast U.S. And then basically the winds flip to the northwest by Sunday night. Cold air pours into the Mid-Atlantic region and the northeast U.S. Some accumulating snow on the backside up across those interior sections of New England late Sunday night time frame. And by the time we get to Monday morning, right here, we have a very strong flow of air out of the northwest, bringing that well below normal air into the Mid-Atlantic, into the northeast U.S. And again, the first half of next week looks quite cold, all the way from the central states to the eastern states, and then we get into the middle part of the next week, and here we are on Tuesday, and then finally by Wednesday morning, and this is the storm system we'll have to watch for the Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week, as it Looks like it'll gather some moisture from the Gulf, head towards the Mid-Atlantic coastline. Exactly where it ends up, just too early to call. This GFS model run kind of has a split system here, one coming out by Wednesday, and then the second one, perhaps the main one, by Thursday. And this is, of course, the scenario we'll have to watch for next week, a potential strong storm system somewhere along the eastern seaboard. Latter part of next week, we're talking Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Just too early to say what the details will be, but there will be a lot of cold air around up across the Great Lakes, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S. Certainly something to keep our eyes on. So a very active weather pattern. Looks like it'll continue well into the second half of the month of February. And we'll have to take each one of these storms kind of on an individual basis because they're all doing something different here. And again, snow showers, some snizzle throughout the day today in the Mid-Atlantic region. Then more than likely rain tonight, especially later tonight and tomorrow morning. Then watch for that burst of snow in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region Saturday morning before a change over to rain for Saturday night and Sunday. And by the way, some of that rain can come down heavily at times during the upcoming weekend in the eastern U.S. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.